women, we know many, but women in power, that is a rare commodity. They are rare because these positions must be taken. They are never given. And we know the relentless sacrifice that power demands. It is held at the expense of one's free time and family time, and it is non-stop grueling work to get ahead and stay ahead. And there's nothing fun about making tough decisions and standing by them. While men have naturally thrived in this hyper-competitive world, women today are only slowly taking the reins of power on their own terms. Increasingly, women are quietly executing and letting their results speak for themselves. Welcome to Women in Power. In this show, we will take a look at women who have not been afraid to rise and take their position. In celebration of International Women's Day 2021, leading toy producer, the Lego Group, unveiled its latest collectible figurine. The figurine, which is holding a Unite Against COVID-19 poster, is none other than Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Arden. The figurine is a tribute to Arden's unique leadership and her effective response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This feat puts her on the list with other notable women who have been awarded the figurine, such as Harriet Tubman, Lady Diana, Rosa Parks, and Michelle Obama. But what has Arden done to deserve such an accolade? Let's take a look. At just 37 years of age, Jacinda Arden became the 40th Prime Minister in New Zealand and the country's third woman head of state. From being deputy leader of her party in August 2017 to leader of the country just 2 months later, Arden has been a force to reckon with. Her style of leadership has allowed the questioning of what a leader should look like and act like, by taking leadership characteristics such as assertiveness, strength, and fear and turning them upside down. Arden is proving to the world that a good leader can be kind, empathetic, and family-oriented. To see how Arden became the leader she is today, we must first understand the woman that took the helm of power. Jacinda Arden was born on the 26th of July 1980 in Hamilton, New Zealand. She is the second of 2 daughters born to a Mormon family. She spent her early years in Murapara, New Zealand, a small town known as a center of Maori gang activity. Her father, who was a law enforcement officer and later became the national government's High Commissioner to New, moved his family to Morrinsville, southeast of Auckland. Arden's primary and secondary education was at schools in Morrinsville on New Zealand's North Island. She then matriculated at the University of Waikato in Hamilton, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communication Studies in 2001. From an early stage, Arden had been influenced by politics. From the life her father led to her own work experience, Arden was being molded to be a part of the political sphere. Before earning her bachelor's degree in communication studies, Arden had already begun her association with the Labour Party. She also became involved in the re-election campaign of a Labour Member of Parliament in the New Plymouth district. After graduation, Arden became a researcher for another Labour MP. This experience would then lead to a position on the staff of Prime Minister Helen Clark, the second woman to hold New Zealand's highest office. the Prime Minister was Arden's political hero and mentor.
Do you have a role model?
Oh, I have multiple role models. I'm pretty, it's going to sound cheesy, but my mum and dad are probably my closest, but there are different politicians over the years. Helen Clark is one of them, just because there's not many people who've done this job.
In 2012, Arden met her future husband, Clark Gayford, while attending a restaurant awards ceremony. They began dating after Mr. Gayford approached Miss Arden with a constituency issue. By 2018, the two announced they would be having a daughter, an announcement we will come to see shaped her leadership. The two got engaged during Easter in 2019. Take a look at the response she gave on asking her partner to marry her.
Can you imagine asking your partner, Clark Gayford, to marry you? Or will you wait for him to ask you?
I would not ask, no.
You're a feminist?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely, I'm a feminist. No, I want to put him through the pain and torture of having to agonise about that question himself. No, that's letting him off the hook. Absolutely not.
Okay, fair enough. We await that day. Thank you.
Their daughter, Bibinav Arden Gayford, was born in June 2018. The mom returned to work in August after taking 6 weeks maternity leave. Miss Arden was only the second world leader to give birth while in office. The first was the late Benazir Bhutto, Pakistan's 2-time Prime Minister. But it is not just the fact that Arden became a mother while in office that makes this historic. It is how she has taken on the role of a working mother that makes her leadership unique. Arden's decision to incorporate motherhood into how she leads her country is yet unseen and has challenged gender roles and the expectations that have set women back in the past. Just months after giving birth, Arden was back to work in full swing and with one new feature. She had her baby at work with her. Taking the world by a delightful surprise, Bibinav made history as the first baby to attend the UN General Assembly in September 2018. Nav was just 3 months old at the time and played with her mother before Arden gave her speech at the summit. While Arden spoke, her partner Clark Gayford held the baby on his lap. In an interview in March 2021, Arden shared how she manages while dealing with a stressful career, a global pandemic, and a 2-year-old daughter. She stated that any time she has to relax, she spends it with her daughter. Arden is showing that being a mother can actually be an asset in leadership and not a burden. By not choosing between a career or motherhood, Arden is proving to the world that women can in fact do it all. It is no surprise that Arden is winning the hearts of many mothers and women alike. They are able to draw inspiration from her example. When asked about managing motherhood and work, Arden responded by saying,
I'm a mum of a 13-month-old with a demanding job. How do you manage tiredness, relationships at work and making decisions on limited sleep?
Was that Victoria, did you say?
No, Laura.
Laura.
Yeah.
Probably I just grapple with it in the exact same way that Laura is probably trying to do. We take every day as it comes. My partner Clark and I, we juggle the care of Neve between ourselves and our wonderful mothers. We don't have a nanny. Some of the logistics of living between 2 cities is a bit testing, and those days where I've got Neve in the front pack and nappy bags and trying to get on planes and read papers, it is sometimes a struggle, but it's giving me an experience that is similar to all the women who work and juggle family. I find that incredibly insightful, important to me as I do my job.
Yeah.
So I value those experiences. I don't have any tricks, but I do have a baby that sleeps, so I'm very lucky.
You are.
Arden opened up on how stress can affect her appetite, and that her team often leaves food on her desk to make sure she's eating enough. She also credited her fiancé Clark Gayford with helping her keep her life running and for looking after her and their daughter. Due to the nature of her work, she does not have much time off during sitting days in Parliament, but Arden always looks forward to her summer break, which she often spends in the Coromandel. Arden, like any other leader, understands that her actions influence those around her. And as a mother, she understands that for those around her to be their best, she must create the conditions and culture for this to be made possible. And she does so by example, by showing acts of kindness, empathy, and quick decision making. Arden is nurturing the country in a way that hasn't experienced before. For example, in March 2019, Arden was called upon to lead and comfort her country after an attack on 2 mosques, one in the central Christchurch and the other in Linwood. The attacks resulted in about 50 injuries and the loss of at least 50 lives. She was praised for being compassionate and for her decision to wear a hijab when comforting survivors and the families of those who succumbed. The swift action to ban most semi-automatic weapons in New Zealand was also commendable, and an example of how an empathetic approach can prove most successful.
Most importantly, we are here because of the victims and families. And I have to reflect, Mr. Speaker, that when I visited the hospitals and the victims, that none of them had just one gunshot wound. I struggled to recall any single gunshot wounds. In every case, they spoke of multiple injuries, multiple debilitating injuries that deemed it impossible for them to recover in days, let alone weeks, Mr. Speaker. They will carry disabilities for a lifetime, and that's before you consider the psychological impact. We are here because of them, and I believe that they are here with us, supporting what we are doing here today as well, because these weapons were designed to kill, and they were designed to maim, and that is what they did on the 15th of March.
The wake of the COVID-19 virus in 2020 presented another opportunity to showcase Arden's leadership. Arden gained popularity in the country after her quick response to the pandemic. Her quick action saw New Zealand among the few countries in the world with low rates of infection. Immediately after the first case was reported, she locked down the country, closed borders and non-essential businesses. With this, New Zealand was able to reopen the economy within just 1 month. By mid-May 2020, New Zealand had declared the virus eliminated in terms of community spread. But it was not just her quick action that led to the effective response. It was also how she communicated not only within government but also to the public. Arden directly addressed New Zealanders with warmth and empathy, continuously explaining to the public the rationale behind her decisions. Using this approach, Arden was able to rally public support. In the next clip, we get a glimpse on how the Prime Minister responded to COVID-19 and other tragedies in New Zealand.
Oh, look, on terms of the numbers, I mean, the outcome, the fact that we had that strong mandate, that's what we'd worked so hard for. But my hope as someone who has, of course, a strong interest in politics is that we have elections globally where we try and move beyond the divisive nature that elections can sometimes bring, because that can be damaging for democracy, regardless of the side of the house that you sit on.
Feeling safe means feeling free from violence. We don't let racism exist, because racism breeds extremism. Let New Zealand be a place where there is no tolerance for racism, ever. And that's something we can all do.
Jacinda Arden's effective response to the pandemic highlights how characteristics that have been used against women for decades in the workplace can actually be valuable assets that can set leaders apart. Women at all levels, and especially at the top, can change the dynamics, reshape conversations, and make sure all voices are heard and heeded. Women leaders can be compelling, compassionate, and effective. And Jacinda Arden, Prime Minister of New Zealand, is a shining example of women in power.